Second by Mrs. Gilligan. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Recording stopped.
Yes.
So tonight we welcome our architects, Aaron Huffman and Chris Blinky from RLPS, who are been a long time coming. We started this process in the spring of the year, community surveys, staff meetings and surveys, several meetings, and here to share tonight an overview of what their assessment is, taking in feedback from our constituents, our stakeholders in the community, and the various options, trying to infuse as much of what the community and our staff said is our needs in the district. So you'll see those with some general dollar figures and kind of lay out the path ahead of us after you see this. It's safe to say, it's my best to say it now. After you as a board see this tonight, tomorrow I have a letter ready to send out to invite our community to a November 14th community forum at the middle school library at 6 p.m. So this presentation will be in a different format than a formal board meeting, where we can dialogue a bit, share with the community at large a little bit about what you're going to see today.
I just want to make sure. But you're really hopeful that no one's coming tonight.
I think that's
With you.
several times this week I've substituted the wrong word. I need to go see a physician. My apologies. So I'll turn it over to Aaron and Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Kettler. I'm Chris Linke. I'm a partner with RLPS Architects.
I would hope no, I'm not Chris.
So we're two people out of many people from the office who work in this feasibility study. So thank you for having us here tonight. The next slide. Like Dr. Kettler said, we're going to go timeline, where we've been and where we're going. We're going to do a quick review of the existing facilities, but the majority of what we're going to talk about tonight are the options. And then we'll follow up with next step. Where do we go from here? Next slide. So as Dr. Kettler said, we really started this journey back in February. When we got to May, we gave you an overview of our discovery process. Our discovery process involved reviewing your existing facility, reviewing your building enrollment and capacities, and then your educational program. So we gave you an update around May 12th for that. Since then, we have gone out to the staff, met with the staff at every level, elementary, the middle school, and the high school levels, so we could review what we found out about your buildings and make it reflected back to us or give us new information. So we wrapped that up, but the heart of the summer was developing the options, refining those options, coming up with cost estimates. And these are options for solutions to what we found in your buildings. So we're here in October at this board meeting. So next slide, please. We have a board update tonight. We met with the committee last week. We have met with that administrative committee monthly throughout the process, bounce back and forth with ideas and what we're seeing. October, November, we are going to continue to push the financial discussion with PFM. And as Dr. Kettler said, in November 14th, we have a public forum in the middle school in the auditorium. Where we go from here, after we get the financial input, we get the public input, we will come back with an administrative group in December, wrap that information up, and then try to bring this to a close, and that is done through the board committee review. That'll take its own course.
Future buildings and grounds and finance committee meetings are involved.
So a quick overview of your existing facilities. For your existing high school, to get to the heart of the matter, you can go to this graphic up here, where you can see that in your high school, you have 147 square feet per student. The national average is going to be somewhere between 185 to 200. You are tight at your high school. So if you look at our list of deficiencies, from here on down and then halfway down to this side, it talks about capacity in the building, deficiencies in capacity in the building. Whether it's just general programs, special education, athletics, cafeteria, offices, you are busting at the seams and you have no flexibility within that existing building. On top of that, your building is coming up to its 20-year mark. So in the industry, 20-year mark is when your systems go on watch and they're getting to the end of their life. So in addition to enrollment, you have systems that are going to need to be replaced in the near future, and your roof is out of warranty. Not severely out of warranty, but it's out of warranty and it becomes on watch also. In addition, at the high school, we have circulation problems on the campus, maintenance needs more space. So this comes to the top of the list when we come to the building evaluations. Next slide. Middle school. Middle school, a couple years ago, you have some improvements to your mechanical systems, and then you have some finishes that you have updated in key spots throughout the building. So you are ahead of the game compared to the high school for that situation. But again, you look at the data up here for how many square feet that you have per student versus what the national average is, where it's going to be 155 to 170. So you are behind there. And then that leads into not having flexibility to grow your program, address your special needs, the flexibility in the STEM, robotics, what we call future-ready education takes up more space than the old space you're going to come up against. Next slide. Forge is similar to the middle school. A couple of years ago, you had MEP systems upgraded. You also had finishes upgraded in that building. But you still have a roof that's out of warranty. The data for the square foot in that building, if you're getting closer to national average, as you get down lower in your buildings, you're getting closer to the national average, but you still have needs with special education, the flexible spaces. What I will say about Forge is you have a combined cafeteria and gymnasium, and it's too small for either one of them, let alone functioning for both. So that severely restricts some of the education or programming you can do in that building. The other building we have up here, sorry, go back one more. Lingle, you're about 10 years in, 11 years into that building, so it's performing well for you. As special education has evolved, you're missing some spaces in there, but you may have some flexibility with capacity in that building when you're running your kindergarten. There's a little bit more flexibility, and you're 10 plus years until you get to the MEP systems. Next slide. North side, that's almost a carbon copy of Forge. Same thing, it was updated a couple of years ago, but the same needs and issues you have in that building. And then on Pine Street, you're just about at your 20-year mark. So you're going to get close to MEP systems being replaced. You have roof out of warranty, but you have a little bit more capacity in that building. So that is not a driver as it is in some of your other elements. Okay. Next slide. This is really just a summary of what we talked about down here at the bottom of where you are in square foot per student versus what the national average is. So the high school is where it hurts the most, and middle school gets a little bit less, and then you get a little bit closer to them. They're all behind the national where you are, and it's coming out on what you can and can't do with your program.
So with that, the next step we took was looking at options, and we spent a lot of time with the committee and the administration team going through, and really today we're going to go through 4 with a little bit of a caveat on the option 1. We'll quickly hit some opportunities that option 1 has, but we're really looking at these 4 as our main discussion. So really the first one, maintenance and repairs, is really to address everything that Chris just talked through. Not changing any of your grade alignment, not adding on to the buildings, not really changing the space. It's what do we need to address to make sure that our buildings are functioning properly, mechanically, electrically, those kind of things, really looking at your roof. So this really is the baseline of where you want to start, is what do we need to fix to make sure that we're status quo throughout the district. It does not address any of your capacities, your enrollment, or anything like It's just purely. So, go to the next one. This is really just showing you what will be done in each building, and you'll see this for each option. So it kind of gives you parts and pieces to what can be completed in each building. So again, the high school is the most need and really has the mechanical, lighting, roofing replacement, and this would be more of a cosmetic touch. So painting where there's issues throughout the building where we're addressing. Miscellaneous would include anything like Buckswine Stadium, athletics, meetings, and those kind of things. This option does not address any of those pieces. The middle school would be the roof replacement, again, as Chris had mentioned, the warranty piece on that. Lingo, again, and this could be phased over time, would be the upgrades again, mechanical replacement, lighting, roofing systems. Pine Street would follow closely after the high school, because of time and how old those buildings are. And then again, Forge Road and Northside, because you just addressed those in the last few years, that would be your roof replacement pieces. So you can see at the bottom, we give you an estimate range of a low number and a high, and this is just to get your buildings functioning at the proper levels and up to speed on mechanical and electrical systems throughout.
So that option's basically.
You got it. Yeah. That's a good one, Kelly. Can I borrow that?
Does not need to address having an increased enrollment.
That's correct. This does not get into enrollment. It does not change any of your grading. It does not address any of the site circulation comments that we've really heard through the survey that was public, and I'm sure we'll hear more about this. So option one really has an A, B, and a C. We're going to quickly hit A and B because those are kind of steps to get to 1C, but 1C is really the opportunity of moving the needle a little bit, and the administration put 1C and then differently, I should say, as well. But we wanted to show you what 1A and 1B meant moving forward. So really in all of option one, it was maintaining the grades, keeping the 9-12, 6-8, and the K-5 model, and potentially relocating the district office to give us square footage to be able to accommodate some programming at the high school. It doesn't necessarily address all of your enrollment throughout K-12, but it really does address your immediate needs at the high school. So if we want to quickly look at 1A, this really gets into the high school piece. So you see there's really no work at the elementaries. This is the baseline option of option one. And it addresses the high school, so we look at additions and renovations for the athletic area, getting classrooms added onto the site, looking at site circulation, as well as addressing everything with needs, mechanical systems, those kind of things. It also brings into consideration improvements of bus rank. We know that was a hot topic in the public comments and review that we got back, so we wanted to make sure that we could include that. One of the things that came out of review of the site here was potentially turfing the high school softball field, so it's equitable to baseball field. This would include relocating the district office so that we get square footage for the high school, and then again, maintenance is very strapped in district-wide, so being able to accommodate additional maintenance at the building. Maybe getting heated bathroom down there would be wonderful.
I would highlight, if I may, many of the items you see on this list are driven by stakeholder input. Community survey drove much of this. Large number of opinions, if you remember our review of that, saying we need a larger gymnasium, we need a larger wrestling room. Buckswine Stadium's, field to bleachers to concessions, seen its better life. So again, much of this driven by that survey.
So this option, again, you can see the low to the high, the 97 to the 123. So if we look at 1B, just makes one tweak to this, and it includes doing the work at Pine Street, because that the building is at the end of life on many systems. And so that really maintains the same opportunities that we had at the high school in option 1A. Same thing for miscellaneous. We just added in Pine Street. So that brought us up to 108 to 136. So it's this option one is just kind of a, what if we added this one? What if we added this? So really to get to 1C, where the team thought answered most of the questions or concerns that were in the community surveys and comments that we received, also includes, again, gym and athletic areas, as Dr. Kepler talked about. That was a big piece. The stadium, but it brings in equity in your schools, as Chris had mentioned, cafeteria and gymnasium are too small. So this opportunity brings in adding a gym at both of those schools, which will give you equity in all of your elementaries. It also addresses on-street needs.
And that was also something that the public spoke to in the survey, is needing more gym space for youth basketball programming through the rec and other rec-based programs, struggling to find enough gym space for the size of our communities.
So this one really does address your enrollment and your capacity with high school, but not necessarily, again, and you'll see there's really nothing happening at that middle school. And again, you're squeezed at that. Chris had mentioned, you know, when we were viewing existing facilities, like special education just really have nowhere to go. We know Dr. Signola, you've been saying we have to take a room from here to be able to accommodate for that program. So that you're trading classrooms, which isn't ideal. So then that really gets us through 1A, 1B, and 1C, but really our concentration has been on 1C because that's the most forward thinking in the opportunities that we bring. So if we move into option 2, this is what if we started looking at grade lines and clustered grades. So this looks at your K to 5, really introducing an intermediate school. Using Lingle and Pine as your K1, 2, 3. It could be a K3 in both buildings. There's opportunities to look at those lower grades and how they're organized, but this is just one of the examples that we are looking at. This really introduces that 4, 5, 6. Gives you a little bit of relief at your elementary as well as your middle school. Pulls that 6th grade out of your middle school to be able to accommodate for the special education programs. We felt that the best place for that is north side. We have a lot of land there to be able to accommodate classes. And then 9-12, again at the high school, and relocating the district office. This one actually would not need to use Forge. So one of the opportunities we're looking at is just Forge become the district office. It's a great location because you're right downtown. Parents can get there a little bit easier. So could that become an opportunity for Forge? So if we go to the next slide, this again breaks down what all of the opportunities are. One piece I do want to point out is the high school on this one. To get into a similar range, you'll see 1C, 2, and 3 are in similar cost ranges. We are not adding on any athletics. So it addresses enrollment, capacity, and educational pieces with your full renovations in half the building, light renovations in the other half. That addresses the mechanical system, really gets the building to work educationally for you. It does not add an additional. However, it also addresses the saving, so that area is still. Excuse me. And then you'll see the other big lift is again more side to get that 4, 5, 6. There's significant additions, renovations that be happening at that building to be able to accommodate your 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Again, the other challenges become Pine Streets when you're older buildings. Unfortunately, to get into this range of costs, I think Mr. Constant might be addressing this a little bit. We're showing no work, but this does accommodate your capacity enrollment from K to 12. We look at option 3 really addresses every grade. So again, looking at that K to 3 at your elementaries for a little bit of time. Bringing in an intermediate school for 4 and 5, middle school 6, 8, and 9, 12. But the piece that really goes with this is building a new high school. So this is the new high school option. So we would build a new high school, move 9 to 12 with that. 6, 7, 8, we move into this building. And then 4, 5, we're moving to the middle school, and then your elementaries are left at lingering time for K to 3. So that leaves you alternative use again for Forge and Northside. This doesn't necessarily have to relocate the district office. It could stay here just because of the 6 to 8 grades moving into this building. However, for future flexibility, you still have the opportunity to go to the district office. This one, across the board, addresses your enrollment and your capacity for the long term. And one of the big challenges is, where's it going to go? Site acquisition. And that's number one on the challenge. Is we need to have land, find land to be able to accommodate a new house. So if we move forward, the cost, again, you'll see it's in a similar range as the other options, a little bit higher, just because we're looking at buying land and getting between that 156 and 179. But it really has only worked up in the price. The others are shifting students around, but it does not give you the opportunity to stay in this range cost to be able to do any work on any of the other buildings. It's purely taking grades and moving them into a different facility. I think that has some inherent challenges. I think Dr. Scarnello, you talked a little bit about that. It gives you the space, but it may not be the right space for that. So those are the options really moving forward. And I believe the next slide shows the check boxes. Mr. Jones with the check boxes, we got it in. But this really gives you a matrix, so you're able to look at all the 4 options and really look at what do they address, what do they do. Repair and option 1 really don't necessarily address your entire enrollment or capacity for the entire district, but they do address updating your roofing and systems throughout. So this really gets your buildings at all an equitable level. Options 2 and 3 really address your enrollment, your special needs, your classroom areas, STEM electives, but it doesn't necessarily address mechanical and roof replacements throughout the entire district. So it's really the discussion of, is it the enrollment and capacity that is more important, or is it the buildings, all updated building systems? I think that's where we are. Love to hear discussion, but moving forward again, this just says what our next opportunities are. Looking forward to talking with the public, but would love to hear your comments on any of the options.
Budget that we're working on, option 2 or 3 is actually another side caveat that we probably that we probably address the transportation contract.
We're not far along to the fully.
So I just meant because you're clustering grades, so if the clustering grades, you no longer really, because you don't have to worry about the transfer to the station. Start your bus runs, so you probably just get to all your elementary, not really going to school, high school, then. That's why I was asking.
Because depending on, if you cluster, now you have kids that have, living next door and walking, now might be getting on bus to go to the north side.
Okay.
So you might, in some cases, you could add additional things. In some areas, it might be more efficient. But that's, as we start to identify potential solutions, that's the work that the future would have for us.
To your point, Mr. Jones, the part of it.
Again, I think what it, Aaron and Chris showed you 2 different options that are really interchangeable with the elementary. In option 2 or 3, you could do clustering where you have a K1 building and a 2-3 building that all students in the district go to that specific building, or you could choose to maintain a K3 and a K3 or K3 and a 1-3, interchangeable. That decision can be made separate from a direction through the feasibility study.
What does it allow for the enrollment to increase? How much? Who's making those changes?
So you have additional, bike. However, if you build a new high school, we're accommodating for the enrollment projections. So this building would be, if I'm going right to option 3, your high school would accommodate for, typically we're about a 10 to 15-year enrollment projection of that. The high school is already sized for a 9-12. We're pulling full grade out when it comes to a 6-8. So that really gives you the flexibility in use of space. Again, I do want to put the caveat on with Dr. Scrignala that the space is here, but it may not be the right space for those grades. There would be some challenges inherent into that, but we would be able to accommodate 3 grades in this building for 2 years at least. And then by moving around, and as Dr. Pepper had talked, is it a K3, is it a K1, 2, 3? Those buildings are able to accommodate those full grades with some extra space in there. So that really applies to option 2 and option 3. Option 1 gives you a little bit more of a challenge just in that K to 8. The 9-12 really gives you the opportunity to add on this building. But we're not addressing necessarily any enrollment growth or changes, special needs requirements.
Just a couple follow-ups, just so I can. We go with option 1 for the buildings, lifetime for the movers, those options.
Meaning, so we can't
So we do,
replacement.
let's say we do option 1, option 2, and focus primarily on the. How long until we spend quote unquote the same amount of money to remove?
About 25 years is about your window.
I just want this so everybody understands, right? Where we're kind of at with the last stage. We're at a decision to maintain our buildings. You can't start any of this for like 3 years. But just bear that in mind. Before we even start doing any of this stuff, it's 3 years. So the public that's listening, all 2 of you, people in the room, I've had a lot of time to think about this and everything. I just want to make everybody aware of really what the decision is. 3 years from now, we need to be looking at, honestly, where do we think we should be in 3 years? And another 3 years from there, on actually if we go option 2 or 3, right? Because you're looking at option 2 or 3, basically about $3 million spend. I'm going to tell you where I'm at on option 3 because I'm going to save $3 million. That's down, this down, this down, this down. Fast. Any of that will be our current 6 years. So just want everybody to community-wise, when you watch this on YouTube, really focus on this part. 6 years from now is when you will actually get the use of option 2 and 3. So picture how many more homes are here, how many more, apartments are here, because I can tell you, gone through quite extensively, there's some apartment buildings that are being planned in this school district. And don't know that everybody's aware of it. Apartment buildings, 36-unit apartment buildings, more than likely going to bring 100 to 125 students per building. That's just where you really need to, as a community, it's buckle time, which we really have to think about. what are we saying to the generation that's 15, 20 years from now, right? I mean, you know, that's what I really want everybody to remember. When we're talking about taxes, when we're talking about money that's being spent, talking about what we're doing is, I'll do what everybody wants, right? I mean, if the majority says, hey, fix the buildings and don't worry about how many kids, because I don't care about some kid that's gonna move in here 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whatever. That's fine, right? That's what the community's will is. I don't think from the many people that I've talked to, that's what their will is, but those are the decisions that we're really faced with. Because, and it's not to say that we built in high school, we do option two, you're not gonna have, I mean, again, it's very young, you still have some mechanical upgrades, you still have some things like that. It's not to say that. I just want to make everybody completely aware. This is not a one-time spend. This is an every 15 years to 20 years, you're probably going to invest this kind of money. That's what you need to think about when you're building this. When I talk about running it like a business, it's every 15 to 20 years, you're gonna spend this kind of money. So when we make decisions, cut programs, cut funding, X, Y, Z, that's where the decision happens. There's no mistake about it. That's what we're up against. So just, again, I probably have more time to digest this than most everybody here, just what I've seen. But that's just what I really, really want to make everybody completely aware of. Is this isn't a fix that you're going to fix. It's not a fix you're going to fix 2 years. We just talked about it with across, goes across a few year facilities. And thirdly, we do whatever we do as a board, now support it, but every decision we do. Please just don't be the 99-cent living themselves. Please.
One point to go with what you said, Mr. Jones, is, and I failed to point out, inflation, we ran these numbers, and this is actually starting construction in about 2028. So we would bid in probably and start construction in 2028. So that,
Yeah, so
what you were talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But I just want to make sure, because listen, I can almost tell you, right? I mean, maybe it's the majority, whatever. Everybody's going to look at option one, option, you know, the maintain or that first option is the cheapest now. That's what the prize is, right? Whether that's the majority try or not, that's what's going to be squeaky wheel.
I mean, the challenge educationally.
That's correct. So these numbers that you see in the estimate range takes it out to 27, 28. So this is assuming starting construction at the very end of 27, 2028. And I think, Mr. Prince, that has to do really with your borrowing capacity.
As we went through this process, options to improve all of the prevent state municipalities too much money outside the community. The government allows for the calculation, essentially it's 225% of 3 years of their. We've been working with financial advisor, financial management to provide some loose options or capacity for borrowing, and we found those in the process of our capacity be about $150 million. And that capacity of $150 million really wouldn't be reached until 2029. You could borrow necessary money to get the projects off the ground, get the projects running, but it would be a significant commitment. That is the reason why yes, went through options that could be, with large variety of, and as always, dollar strength and traffic. Not just capacity. To afford that, I think that's how we the finance community believes going through modeling the different areas. PS has helped us understand, if it's $140 million project, well, this kind of thing. You can try to model, show what that would do in terms of tax increase, but we know that significantly borrowing up to that tax really requires. Definitely what we need to attend, and so like I said, it just providing into their capacity to use that $250 million, regardless of what our needs are, what's on any of this types
I think from an educational perspective, we have kind of two converging forces in our challenge for us. We have space issues with increased enrollment that's coming. We've looked at the maps of North Londonderry Township, the land that's been sold to developers. Some of those developments have started. There's several other farms that are coming. Mr. Jones mentioned, first one coming is 180 unit apartment complex out off of Plaza Drive, close to where Winding Creek and Winding Creek and London Croft are located.
So 180 units brings in a whole class size. You're not all in the same class.
So we need space. So the maintenance option really, to Mr. Jones' point, isn't an option. We can't do something and not have additional space. But secondarily, the cost to add that space is so significant that some of our mechanical systems and roof systems can't get done under a borrow. So as a district, it's a tough balance of what do we do? What does this board and future boards decide to do?
Go to committee, buy a bunch of lottery tickets.
And I won last night. I would have paid cash for this bill.
Anybody else? Virtually here with every building project in this school district, except for the 1935 New Deal process that created what is now middle school. But I was here from 1959 when that was added on to. So I've literally seen every one of these buildings either as a student or as a teacher. I'd be lying to you if I wasn't quite horrified at what I was saying. Oh my God. Can we afford it? And then I look at it, can we not do it? Because what's the alternative? There's no cheap way of doing this. And we can either spend money just to get us up to where we are now, and that solves no problem whatsoever. That creates more problems down the road, because if anything, it's going to get more expensive as we go down the road. We can do something, we can create. Again, I was, when I first said nuts about new school, but the more I went to the meetings, the more research I saw, I don't think we have an option. That's the one thing that, in fact, is going to work. Everything else is stopgap. Everything else, we're just throwing money. This creates something. Now, I don't know what I'm going to feel like 25 years from now when we're sitting here, Maybe the dimension will set in and new problem. I really think this is going in the direction. Really good. Now, if someone has a better idea,
Yeah, all,
and God knows we try. The wife will send me twice a week to Redner's to buy a lottery ticket. We average one or no number. So I'm not the person to send out to buy a lottery. I think this is the way.
Feedback you have for us tonight.
Regarding workable space, what includes exactly about. We were just talking about how there's currently our STEM labs at the elementary level or classrooms. They're not created for STEM. Some of our special education classrooms, even in the elementary, middle, and high school, aren't necessarily set up for what is coming up through our special education. So some of the classrooms probably would benefit from having some bathrooms, depending on the needs of our kids. So when we put that there about elementary, I was looking more that when you're looking future about some of the spaces that would be really great to incorporate some robotics type stuff. We don't currently have that in our elementary spaces, nor do we have it in our high school and middle school. Now, new high school would definitely provide that because we were going to build into some of that stuff. But and with middle school then moving to the high school, we're bringing three grades into the high school versus 4. So there could be some capability of creating something. But if you look at that, there's not going to be any changes to the high school. It's just we're going to pick up middle school and plop them. So that's kind of what I wanted to just put out there for everybody to realize that. Some of our more special needs classrooms and that I can certainly chime in, but there's some needs of students that as they move up through the high school, we don't have classrooms with bathrooms. So you could say, I'm not aware of many, if any, have bathrooms attached or any toilet use. But the home ec,
classroom at the end of this. So that's the only.
thank you.
One of the challenges through all of this is if we believe in option 2, where we're option 1 and 2 add on to the high school, we feel we can work through stormwater management to make that happen. The middle school is our greatest challenge when it comes to additional space. When we did the addition that is now the 6th grade wing 5 years ago, we need to had to get a variance from the borough and the county, allowing us to exceed the amount of impervious ground cover. That I believe is done. There is not an ability to put another square foot of structure there because it won't get approved because of stormwater. So you can't add onto that building. The only other answer is you got to take the building with 3 grades to 2 and have a 7-8 building or a combination of 2 grades. Option 2 pulls that 6th grade out to a north side addition renovation to free up space, elementary, middle, the addition here high. Building a new high school, option 3 does the same. It provides space for all levels. But to your point, you're at the $175+ billion on the top end. And you heard Mike say 150 is our maximum borrowing capacity. So we would have to do some scale down versions, even in option 2 and 3, if the cost didn't come in on the low end. Every home that's built, this is the implication to our community intentions. Any other questions and feedback tonight? I think it was Aaron and Chris, as I started tonight, November 14th, a public forum will be a chance to engage our community, hear from our constituents, allow this board, encourage you to be there, so you can hear feedback from the community. And that'll help drive our future discussions. I think it'll be a combination of filling the grounds where we're talking this project and finance committee where Mike and the PFM team over time will be giving you additional information on what does this mean from a financial perspective. Thank you. And just very much. Thank Aaron and Chris. Their work has been great thus far. We appreciate working with you.
I'm good and finish out the building there, but, obviously, we got to review.
Couple more zeros in there and it would help us a lot.
We heard this signed up for,
See what we've done, how we can do that, or new buildings. I know that Mr. James and the team work on building. And is there a finite number of how people you fit in our place, in our county? Whatever we want.
No.
Because there's only so much ground, I know we can go up.
That's the problem, right? When you able to zone things, medium density and high density. High density is apartments. So, and just to let you know, I've looked at some land. There's some pretty decent land to be sold as zone apartments.
A good example, or it's public, work on their township. The parcel of property that between the new 55 plus development Winding Creek being built and the one in crop development, there's an L-shaped property. Their intention is to do that in phases, but it's a total of 350 units of apartments going in that L shape. There alone, let alone the other farms in that region that have sold.
That doesn't benefit the school district at all.
We lose.
And nobody cares about that.
Yeah, I mean, like the data, just rough numbers. Say $5,000 tax bill, we use $5,000. There's 2 children in that home. It's a $20,000 offset.
It's not to say that anybody doesn't care. Again, I do this all the time with people. I'm sure they do, right? But I mean, you gotta remember, there are people to make money, right? Everybody's so, that's the thing. I've said it from day one. There's one warehouse that's completely full. There's of that warehouse, there's a 250,000 addition that is option for that. The 2 new warehouses they're not occupied. There are another 2 buildings still coming. Just so that you know, right? So obviously, people that are going to work there are going to live somewhere, right? I highly doubt they're driving all the way over. I highly doubt they're driving to. They're going to want to live right next to. Well, I mean, that's part of the downside, right? Of having a big school district, right? People want to move here, right? I mean, yes, taxes are sure higher than this would like, but they are cheaper still compared to, Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I mean, it's one of those. It's like, oh, yeah, it's. Looks like we're on to finance.
Yeah. So on the agenda is food service.
We have with us today, Alonzo Price. Google, contact for the food nutrition group, and Jason Miller, who runs our, day-to-day operations of food service here at the city. They're here today to provide, some show of their work, as well as provide, some update on our year so far this year. So I'll turn it over to Robert.
First of all, keep them in the back of mind as well, by the division match. Sort of company, the nutrition group. Here is Jason Miller, here is the director of food and nutrition. And then we have a special guest with us, Jim Wallace, who's assisting us today. So we wanted to. So we just want to go over a little bit about what we do, some of the things that we have in place. First thing I want to talk about is cost controls. As you know, the divisions with sometimes prices go up, sometimes prices go a little lower. So whenever we see something that might sort of be a red flag issue, we make sure we have a conversation with Mike Fence to see if that's something that we're still going to do. We want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible with your money. We do our day-to-day operations. We also want to do things that sort of increase participation. And we do that by talking to students. We feel that's the best way just to find out what we like. If we don't like to talk to them, we also like to have YAC meeting, youth advisory council. That way we sort of get a glimpse of what the school district and what those students and those particular things like that we have to sort of do the things we want to do. And then we like to promote the program. One of the things that we do is one of our mascots is Molly the cow. So Jason last week was in Molly for 3 hot days at the elementary level. He survived. But it's a great way to bring in the excitement about the school program, bring that into them. And then we also do nutrition education. And that's what we try to do to our kindergartners and our first graders. Those are those students who are a little bit apprehensive about probably getting into the cafeteria because it's a little bit loud, right? So we try to talk to them about what their choices are, why we're there, so we think that they can do. That way we can sort of get them at the beginning stage to participate in the research program. And then we also like to do events. Some of those events could be whether it be something for the board, you guys do a welcome back breakfast or something like that. And we also like to get in and try to get to the sport teams as well. I think you can find a lot of different places around here that might be catering, like we could do it at a better price and more quality product right here in house. So we try to promote that as best we can. Food going around as I speak. We can go to that next slide. One of the things we try to focus on with our professional development and training was positivity. There are a lot of things that went on last year in the research department and in the world. Sort of wasn't sort of on that positive way. We want to let them know that they can choose positivity, that we can get in there and, you know, whether we're short staff, short pods, and different things like that. We want to make sure that we try to do our best to sort of students of the district and make sure that we're going to them. Right? And then my next slide is on some of the numbers. So for breakfast, we eat almost triple that. For lunch, we're very competitive at that $2.91. A la carte, we will put them a la carte due to the fact that some of the items that were usually available to us were not. Some of those items, instead of selling to school food service, they started directly to the retail market. So once we put it into retail, they can keep increasing price. We've got to price that at some of these. And then the profit and loss, we can put positive 141. A couple things that contributed to that positivity was when we first presented to you, guys, we try to do the worst case scenario. But, you know, as in your own houses, sometimes those children's food fees change. We want to make sure we can capture that. And then also, the other thing that was not in that original budget was the benefit of having clean breakfast, which the state talked about, but didn't include until then. So that was all the stuff. All right.
All right, so there's some photos and a little year in review here and some of the things that we try to do in some of our schools. As you can see, we used to have an employee, she no longer works for us, but she makes great balloon creations. And I still have the photos, so I'm going to definitely bring them back because I think it makes the elementary schools look really nice. You know, bring out the days, just give the kids a little something to smile about when they get there. And then just some of our food there as well. While I'm talking or rambling on, some of the food that was brought out to you, the first things that were brought out were pot stickers, the chicken and vegetable pot stickers. They are new to us this year. They're tossed in a teriyaki sauce. Very tasty. really good, and they're slowly starting to pick up here for the kids. They're starting to realize what they are and enjoy it. The second thing that was brought out, there's a new breakfast items. There are mini waffles. There are two grain products. So that and a fruit is a meal at our levels. We had a fruity pebbles one. It's a fruity one, but I call it fruity pebbles. So it's just like fruity pebbles. And then there's a chocolate chip as well. And then there was nachos and queso going around as well. That is new to us as well this year. The queso is reduced sodium, along with some of our other items that was brought in reduced sodium this year. I want to skip to the next slide.
You can eat and run the slides at the same time.
Sorry, I apologize. We should have held the food off for the end. But like I was saying, with the reduced sodium, the whole grain, and the smart snacks, little handout that was given out in the beginning with the reduced sodium. The T&G worked with manufacturers to acquire products lower in sodium than their original version, and then some of those items are marinara sauce, pizza sauce, the queso that you have in front of you, and cheese sauce and ketchup. And then all of our whole grain products, so you know that at least 8% of our grains offer purchase and lunch whole grain rich. Keeping up full grains and everything. And then our smart snacks, which came out a little bit later there, we actually have these educational cookies that we're moving around through the elementary schools where they have different versions of it. The ones that we have here, English and Spanish. Then we have some new vegetarian options. We have an Impossible Burger, which it's really good. You wouldn't even be able to tell. It's a really good product. And then we have some plant-based beef crumbles that we can use for the vegetarian options as well, which, more and more vegetarians, we have those options for the kids. And then as Lonza touched on a little bit ago, Nutrition for Life, this is a program that we have that we, as we said earlier, try to get the younger kids more involved between the lunch system, the lunch that we have going on. So I'll plan on doing that in schools, 2 weeks for our schools. And then some other promotional programs that we have going on here. Tasty Bites. It's a good way to get our kids to taste some of the fun snacks that we have. Wellness Wednesdays, different options for healthy food on every Wednesday. We're doing that throughout our schools. And then also Farm to Fork, where we're bringing in some local produce and serving it to our students. And then Moments That Matter. So, the Moments That Matter is a corporate-wide initiative to embrace opportunities to make a difference for those around us. So we are more than a food service. We are part of the community and truly care for those who we serve. T&G recognizes and celebrates and rewards our employees that have care and concern, performance, and proactive learning initiatives. And then our community charities help students who experience hardship and traumatic events to ensure stewardship in our communities, as well as support those in dire need. Additionally, the funds sponsors scholarships and grants to support student growth. And then just say that we look forward to being here for years to come. My name, my contact information, and then Paul Solange's contact information. Hope you enjoyed the little snacks you brought. I know last time I was here, I was going to bring food, so I listened. So.
What would you say is like
a popcorn chicken bowl, which I call the Cougar Bowl. What you call the Cougar Bowl, yeah. It's a spin off from the KFC chicken bowls. Potatoes, corn, gravy, and popcorn steak on top of it. It's extremely popular. That, and then when we do breakfast for lunch, that's our other one too. It's Yeah, something different. Yeah, you weren't getting those.
Yeah, and, somebody tied to the high school that eats school lunch probably at least 3 days a week. I appreciate it. You do a great job. I'm happy to eat the cafeteria as much as I do.
Appreciate it.
For the turkey waffles, just breakfast, or the,
Right now,
They
we just
were
have,
really good.
right now, we just have for breakfast.
and the ice cream.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna start working for chef. The elementary doesn't start till 9.
They were so cute.
You can only send my elementaries.
I pay you.
You guys serve breakfast at 6? I'm here.
I'll start coming in again. We know Jan's here, too, as well. Sure. Okay.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Have a great evening. The next thing on the agenda is really, I believe, another really great piece of news. During the COVID years, we've made a bunch of but last year, ceased, but our Commonwealth stepped up and moved to you can see one of the numbers that Alonzo has used last year from this competitive budget. You see how much we wasn't after $30,000 in breakfast. That's what we thought we were going to. It's not going to be free. We generated like $88,000 in breakfast. You can see the participation and how those numbers really expand when financial burdens are taken. So the federal government has been pushing around, been pushed to bring back that free lunch, like it was. And while not doing that directly, they have changed their process to make it more viable to districts like ours. There's a thing called the community eligibility provision. And that says that law used to say that if 40% of your building or 40% of, but you can go building by building, but 40% of your district students receive free and reduced lunch, that every student in that school is qualified for free and reduced community eligibility provision. The federal government recently changed that law and reduced it from 40% to 25%. We currently sit as a school district at about 29.5% free and reduced lunch. So we now free and reduced lunch. When we got that, the district to select eligibility provision, you have to select that by April 1st. We do that. State puts a waiver to food nutrition at the federal level, asking for a waiver for that. I'm going to tell you today that we're waiting on that answer. At 4 o'clock, it said the waiver was complete. So, along with that information came some meetings, some things we have to go through, hoops we have to go through at the level of PD to make this happen. But something I would highly recommend we're going to follow through with, so that every student in our district will be able to receive free lunch and free breakfast. So we will be going about that process as soon as possible. Make that happen. Like I said right after the report, I thought I was going to have to say we're going to wait for that, but that was good to hear today. So we'll provide additional updates and make sure that you're going through all of the process from there. I also want to note in our past, last year, we know that salaries are a hurdle for some of our students. We know that because they put money on a cap, and we have over $5,000 in debt. There's students that need food, we're able to pay. And through many reasons, and the law, one of them, but also the right thing to do, we're always looking to That's way to make sure that they're ready for their educational day, and to get through it. So this is a huge, through donations that we received last year, we were able to wipe out all the $12 million like that. We're working with the families that are left, to collect that money. So our community has stepped up, in the time and without this. It also generated a revenue in our conservative program, as you can see by the film. That allows us to expand things. Money generated through food service, by law, must be spent on food service types of items, which is fine, because until that time, we needed a new oven, general fund, and to pay for that oven, so this go forward. Hopefully, this will continue to make the food service fund more self-sufficient for any needs that it does have. We'll have enough revenue. So I think it will also help. People on protection, free lunch and free breakfast were provided. We were going to get to a point where the general was going to provide a significant amount of money. So it's fun. So the domino way, free breakfast is also. We still got, so we say federal or free meals. Your question, so
How are we generating money if in fact we're not bringing in?
the money, so we would report, student comes, gets a meal, we report that to the federal government, they provide us this. They need it from food, federal government.
That's for everything.
Correct.
I know this.
After we complete getting those to the cost.
Yeah, we have some groups to get there.
Sure.
But once again, that PD groups, we're gonna fill out forms, we're gonna have to be a meeting, we're gonna have to meet the deadlines, we're gonna go off.
So how much does the adults pay for them?
Yeah.
So today Larry had a slice of pizza, 2 fruits, 2 vegetables, and a milk. We taught the students.
Still gonna have the variety.
Yes, yeah, the a la carte items that you know before, those are the things that we will not receive any federal subsidy for. We those, they will need to pay tax. We use that a la carte as extra items or things that, we don't like what for lunch today, going from there. So there still will be food that will be sold, from that perspective. It's the lunches that are covered are meals. We've got the Pepper's point, it must contain certain, there must be, fruits, vegetables, and milk, some proteins, but also, low salt and those types of things. It has to be included on the meal.
It's not going to throw the carrots away. They must take that.
And actually, we stepped up. I know in certain buildings that they have food fridges or alternate fridges, and some of the foods that make their way there, these things that the students have to take to get reimbursed for the meal, they don't want, so instead of throwing it away, put in these shared fridges so that if the student is hungry, the shared fridges that are student for them. Close.
So how do they work? If the student comes, chooses not to take something.
You must take, well, it must be on the plate, there's a place for those students outside the line to place that.
So they're
Sometimes, like I said, our on past years, on the good process and to look exactly what we do. Correctly. And we do one more thing, because we need this to be a universal deal, so that we can.
It's like the money you don't choose. That's, you don't get that extra meal, then it charges you. Oh, that. All that stuff, then,
They just are aware, you know, something they consider.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they shared, I was talking on that last year when we were meeting our high school, there's a fridge in the lunchroom, and there's also one upstairs. So then throughout the classes in the afternoon, we would come the day before, so we come. So.
yeah, I really like that. That's a good. That's-
Yeah, I think is Northside trying it too?
Yeah, we don't have fridge, but, the baskets dry foods and there's one with the ice block at the bottom, but I can tell you, in there every day, they thought, kids know they can't go to the shirt table once it's done, they try to, and then so many kids use it, and we don't, there's not a day for 5 every bit of food in there, and then send us down to our like emotion support classrooms so they can stay, and it's all healthy food. It's been a great program, so I love it. I speak stuff too.
So hopefully I have another, update from our progress with, obviously, we'll do.
Scott? Who's finance for tonight then? So for Sacramento administration, we have 4 policies. The second reading. We're going to do through the second reading solution of the following board policies. Policy 8.3, information system security. Delete language in policy 830, 1.1. Policy 830, personal information, breach notification. Policy 830.1, data governance, storage security. Policy 918, title, parent and family engagement.
No changes since last review.
Public comment? Okay. Now is all for now.
So, board will be in executive session for purposes of reviewing permanent contract, reviewing the employment of.
Yeah, I'm good.